Hello everybody, I'm Louise Eddington, the Cosmic Owl of Cosmic Owl Astrology, and I feel called to create this extra video today when I should actually be editing my book, but that's okay. I want to talk to you about Mercury Retrograde. Now, Mercury Retrograde starts, excuse me, sorry. This Mercury retrograde on September the 26th, 2021, September the 27th for a lot of you, happens to start, according to my actual software, at 11:11 p.m. for me in Mountain Time, which my number head goes do 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 gateway, but of course I acknowledge that it's not going to be 11:11 p.m. everywhere, and the official time on my ephemeris said 11:10 p.m. So let's not get too carried away with the time. But I couldn't help notice that. But anyway, Mercury's stationing retrograde tonight for everybody, and tomorrow for some people in Australia on September the 27th at 25 degrees 28 minutes of Libra. And I happen to think that it is probably one of the most important Mercury retrogrades that we are going to experience. So please let go of this, fear and the small stuff about communications and about mixed messages and tech things breaking. I always kind of think that's just a kind of an aside from Mercury retrograde. So first I want to talk to you a little bit about my philosophy about astrology. Now, astrology is about cycles and this marvelous, amazing pattern that our cosmos makes, and everything works together in unison in what can only be really a created entity by something. I don't know what that is. It could be God, it could be, or the good, or whatever. And there's too much to talk about there, but I think that the cycles and the retrogrades and the aspects as we're moving through, both individually in our soul's evolution in this lifetime and collectively with these bigger collective patterns, are always giving us an opportunity as humans to understand what the message is and the change that's being brought and how we respond and react. I do believe that we have been given as humans, we have been given the capacity to choose how we respond and react. We've got free will more than any other living being. And I do believe that we have been given dominion over the earth. Our actions on earth consciously change the earth. So that's kind of in a nutshell, my kind of beliefs. I don't prescribe to any religion, and I also do not believe that astrology is fatalistic. There are some things that can be predicted, like André Barbeau, a great French astrologer, did predict that we would have a big major pandemic in this time. However, there's kind of a limit to how that prediction can work. It doesn't show what caused it. It doesn't show how it's going to affect us. It doesn't show what the exact outcome is going to be. So if any astrologer tells you that the astrology tells you that for example, there's an astrologer saying that the vaccine is going to kill people in disgrace. Astrology doesn't tell you that, okay? It can't tell you that. Everything works in unison, science, the immune system, all those kind of things, how we treat the earth. And my philosophy is that we have the North Node in Gemini, which is the sign of the twins, the and that means science and nature. It means all the opposites. Gemini is the twins. It's also about learning, opening our minds to other perspectives. And Mercury rules that North Node. So this year we've had 3 Mercury retrogrades, all in air signs. First we had Aquarius, then Gemini, now Libra, the last one. And air signs are thinking and mind and changing our minds. Okay, so I can't go through each one or we'd be here forever. But I do want to hark back a little bit to January of last year, 2020. We had a major conjunction. We had Saturn and Pluto conjunct on January the 12th, 2020. Conjunct that was Ceres, Mercury, the Sun. There was various other aspects to that. Every single planetary body really has been involved in this. And it's generally believed that that mass conjunction really kind of activated the chaos that we've got going on now in our institutions and in our relationship to everything that is. Okay, so fast forward to this Mercury retrograde. All right, in the sign of Libra. Sign of Libra is about balance, harmony. You know, there's a few words in this. We use words for retrograde and rebalancing. Thanks to my friend Clyde, he kind of mentioned that. I think we're being offered the opportunity to rebalance. All right. Other things that have spoken to me in this time, and I will talk to it astrologically. On this day that Mercury is stationing retrograde, we also have an air grand trine. We have the Sun and Mars almost conjunct in Libra. Also earlier, the Sun at 4 degrees Libra and Mars at 7 degrees Libra. And incidentally, Mars at 7, Mercury is turning retrograde at 25 degrees, and that's a 7 too. So we might look at that a little bit too. But they're in trine to Saturn in Aquarius, who is also at 7 degrees. And it's forming an air grand trine to the North Node in Gemini. We've got Black Moon Lilith, the shamed original kind of female energy, the divine feminine that is more receptive and more to do with the natural world and kind of connecting with the earth in Gemini as well. Ceres is there also at 11 degrees. So, and the moon is in Gemini as Mercury turns retrograde. So we've got Mercury ruling Gemini and all that energy in Gemini, and the moon is moving past the North Node, past Black Moon Lilith and Ceres, and kind of activating that air grand trine. So we've got this air grand trine with swirling thoughts and feelings. So sorry if this video sounds very swirling thoughts and feelings, because I just felt I had to get these thoughts out. And then, of course, the moon will move on to trine Mercury as well, the Gemini moon, which is Mercury ruled. And an air grand trine is really about thoughts moving around, really integrating the thoughts. We could say that this forms a kite briefly too to the South Node in Sagittarius, which is letting go of old fixed beliefs, changing our beliefs. Okay, so there's a lot of that energy today. We are really being asked to all these rewords. You know, I talked about it in my daily post. I said, you know, revision, revisit, respond, rethink, rewrite, revision, I said that twice. Reevaluate, reveal, and that I don't think there's any accidents. Maybe we're being asked to revision and reflect. Okay, and then it came to my mind that I had felt called to ask my Facebook page to join me in rereading Braiding Sweetback Grass by Robin Kimmerer. If you've never read the book, read it. And then it came to my mind that there's other words, and thanks to another astrology friend who mentioned these words in her comment, and I was like, oh, more rewords about developing a reciprocal and restorative and recovering and reclaiming connection with all that is, with the earth, with the plants, with each other. Because Gemini, where the North Node is about this community and this reciprocal relationship with all that is other as well. So to my mind, this Mercury retrograde is giving us a huge opportunity. Now, there are other astrological factors why I think that. Mercury is stationing retrograde in square to Pluto in Capricorn. So Pluto was involved in, that January the 12th, 2020 conjunction. And Saturn, of course, is in the air grand trine. So those two players are involved. And Pluto is in square to Eris. So Mercury is activating and making this T-square. We had the first exact aspects to Mercury and Pluto the other day, and we're coming up in a few days to another exact one, but it's really all happening together. And Pluto and Eris are in their 5th of 5 exact squares in Capricorn and Aries, and that the first one was also back in January 2020. So that Pluto-Eris square is kind of one of the defining aspects of our century, decade, lifetime, age, in my opinion. The last time the two squared exactly in Capricorn and Aries was back in about 500 BCE in a time called the Axial Age, Axial. You can go and look that up. But it was believed to be, there's people who dispute it, but it was believed to be an age where there was kind of a great awakening that set the spiritual awakening that kind of set the scene for clearly the next 2600 years, which happens to be, 2500 years, which happens to be about the period of astrological ages. And we all know we're moving into the age of Aquarius at some point. Nobody agrees when. I kind of do personally think this Pluto-Eris square is a big shift into the age of Aquarius. So Mercury is actually squaring those, or making a cardinal T-square. Cardinal signs initiate change, and he's making Mercury the trickster, the change agent, the messenger of the gods who shifted between the humans and the gods, is forming a T-square with that paradigm shifting square. All right. And then Mercury is also, if we look at this, the chart, I'm not going to get it up, but Mercury is also in a 135 degree aspect with Lilith. I think it's 130. I can't remember actually. Let me. It doesn't really matter. It's in an aspect with Ceres and Lilith, and Ceres is very much, to my mind, associated with climate change and with us coming to an awareness of the alignment with the cycles of nature and grief and life and death, and moving back into attunement with those cycles. In Gemini, we have become so separate, and we've got to open our minds to that. I mean, this person even is wanting to garden and to grow my food and to move. I've never gardened, and move into a reciprocal nature with a relationship. Relationship, another word, with the earth. Okay, so and Lilith, Black Moon Lilith, is shame, but also, you know, in Gemini, she is about bringing back that rejected, another word, Black Moon, divine feminine, which is in all of us. This is, you know, not just about women, of course. Let me see if Mercury is actually making any other aspects. It is not. So that's A. We actually kind of have a very wide aspect called, or configuration called a seer aspect, briefly, as well as the moon moves through Gemini, that connects some of these players. And I'm not going to go, you know, into what that means, but, you know, with a kite and this T-square and this Mercury retrograde being so connected to a lot of these energies, it feels very important to me. Okay, now I mentioned the air grand trine. Okay, we've also got Mars is in an aspect as well to Jupiter. And another reason why I think this retrograde is important, I've mentioned Pluto, I've mentioned Saturn, and I've mentioned Jupiter. They're all going direct during this Mercury retrograde. So as Mercury shifts retrograde tonight, we are going to have, let me talk about all the retrogrades. Okay. So Mercury is the fastest one. We'll have Mercury retrograde. We've got Saturn retrograde. We've got Jupiter retrograde. We've got Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. If we look at some some slower other moving aspects, Black Moon Lilith is retrograde for much of this time, okay, as well. Sedna is retrograde. Sedna is really associated with climate change. She was last in this position at the end of the last ice age, 10,400 years ago. All right. Chiron, the key to healing, or the wounded healer, is retrograde. Pallas Athena is retrograde. Chariklo, Chiron's wife, is retrograde, and incidentally she was also in that conglomeration of planets back in January 2020 that kind of activated all of this. So everything is being revisited, rethought, reimagined, all those things, revisioned. I said it twice, so I may as well said it again. But during this Mercury retrograde, 22 days or 21 depending where you are, it's about 21, 22 days. First, Pluto stations direct on October the 6th. Then on October the 8th, Chariklo, who incidentally is the grace spinner. She weaves the web, she weaves the stories, okay? She was a nymph, and she is stationing direct on October the 8th. Then on October the 11th, Saturn stations direct, and Pluto and Saturn were together back in January 2020. Then on October the 18th, Mercury stations direct, excuse my dog, and so does Jupiter on the same day. So this is a time of just big shifts. Everything we believe is going to shift. Okay, all right, you get that? There's a couple of things I want to say, and then I want to talk to the end of Mercury retrograde. So in the middle, along the way, as Mercury turns direct, he moves past those aspects with Pluto and Eris again on October the 1st and October the 2nd, depending where you are. The T-square aspects will perfect again. So from now, really, on the day that he's shifting retrograde, he's in square to those two, and that starts to fade a little bit as he moves back. But those two, Pluto and Eris, have their exact square on that October the 9th, which is after Pluto and Chariklo station direct. So if this is a bit, just listen to the message if it's too much. I do want to mention as well that right in the middle of all this, on October the 4th, Mars and the Sun are conjunct I think it's on October, oh no, before that. Mars and the Sun will be conjunct. Bear with me. Sorry, my head is just like going, oh my God, all this stuff. Anyway, Mars and the Sun will be conjunct on October the 6th, the day that Pluto stations direct. That is also the day of the new moon. It's all at 13 degrees. Then the new moon is at 13 degrees Libra. And I did a podcast on that, so you can look at that as well. And then the Sun catches up to Mars, and they're exactly conjunct, okay? On later or early, actually that one's on October the 7th. I'm just trying to get this exact. All of this, the new moon on October the 6th, when Pluto stations direct, is in a almost exact quincunx aspect to Uranus, who is the radical change bringer. And quincunx is an aspect of adjustment. So this is major, also revisioning. All right, vision is a good word for Uranus. And it's also the new moon, and this Sun-Mars conjunction is also in trine aspect to Ceres, again over there in Gemini. Again, air signs, but Uranus in Taurus. Taurus is the most earthly of signs. And as that all happens, Venus will be at the anaretic degree of Scorpio, asking us to check into our deepest core reciprocal values. Okay, Scorpio is a very merging sign. It's a sign of deep relationship with ourselves and with others. So you can see where this is all just then Mars and the Sun kind of walk together a little bit. But when we have the cazimi of the Sun and Mercury, which is the midpoint of the retrograde, that will be on October the 9th. And that will be at 16 degrees of Libra, which is another 7. I'll come back to the 7 in a minute. And Mars will also have moved to 16 degrees also at that point as well. And at that point, it's still in this aspect really to Uranus, and Black Moon Lilith will be back there in Taurus visiting that as well. But let's not get too carried away. Everything is working together, in my opinion. Okay. At that point as well, when Mercury is in the heart of the Sun, which is the midpoint, and that like sudden flash of clear thinking and awareness on October the 9th. Follow my Facebook page for exact times and things for the cazimi later. Venus will have moved into Sagittarius and will be conjunct the South Node, saying, let go of the old beliefs about some of your values. Our core values are being asked to change. So that point is really important too. And of course, station direct the day before. Okay, so this is just amazing to me, all of this stuff. So this Mercury retrograde journey is just mind-boggling to my mind. Okay, I mean, again, please follow my Facebook page or my Instagram for daily updates, or become a Venus Enchantment member and get daily videos. Okay, so then moving on through October, on October the 11th, Saturn stations direct, and we start to pull together to the final Saturn-Uranus square that's caused a lot of crazy disruption about authoritarianism and freedom and all that kind of stuff this year. That's a whole thing for another day. But as Mercury moves back, Mercury moves to 13 degrees and quincunxes Uranus at 13 degrees too. So that is another kind of adjustment of thinking, with Mercury and Uranus both being energy of the mind. So this is just so dynamic. And then, Mercury, as he retrogrades, will exactly trine Ceres, make some other aspects, and then I want to bring it to the 18th when he stations direct. Okay, so he stations direct on the 18th at 10 degrees and 7 minutes. Another 7. And 10 degrees, 10 is a 1, a new beginning. This will be in trine to Ceres, still at 11 degrees. Ceres will have stationed retrograde by that point. Oh, when does Ceres go retrograde? Ceres goes retrograde on October the 9th. I forgot to mention that. Whoa! Another shift of direction. Oh my goodness. And Ceres will retrograde right back over the North Node, back into Taurus, and there's a whole thing there as well that I can't go into, or we'll be here all day. But Mercury stations direct, opposing Chiron. So there's a whole opportunity to bring this revisioning and rebalancing into healing. Trine to Ceres, who is stationed direct and retrograde 9 days before. And I apologize for missing that. I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is so much. And also in a sextile aspect to Venus. And Venus and Ceres are having an opposition just before Mercury stations direct. Venus and Ceres could be the story of Persephone and Demeter. Ceres is Demeter and Venus is Persephone, and they are in a bit of a dance as well with Pluto that ends on December the 7th, 2024 with a massive conjunction at 0 Aquarius. Which was the point of the great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn on December the 21st, 2020. So do you see how all these things work together? I'm probably just blowing your minds here, but astrologically, what does this all mean? And I'm not going to go through Mercury's direct motion, even though that's interesting too. But I do want to mention one thing. When Mercury stations direct, making these wonderful aspects, and there's probably more, but Pallas Athena's at 10 degrees too, the problem solver, all of that. I do want to mention that the Sun will be at 25 degrees Libra on the day that Mercury stations direct, and the Sun, that's the point that Mercury stationed retrograde at. So the Sun will be forming that T-square with Pluto and Eris on the day of the station direct. I think this could not be a more important retrograde. And I think it's bringing several stories together of the last several months at least, back to the start of the pandemic. It's been asking us and pulling us towards that rebalancing, rethinking. It's in Libra, the air sign, the sign of balance. But also, if you think of the symbol of Libra, it's the one straight line and the line with the sun. It could be the rising sun or the setting sun, if you like. If you think of the sun when it's on the horizon, it's a shift into a new time with Libra. Libra is a very important sign. Well, they all are. Then we have all this energy in Gemini, with the North Node starting to finish its journey in Gemini. And in Gemini, we're really being asked to bring all of this together. To my mind, Gemini is the sign of the and. You know, we've got this major polarities in this country and in this world, okay? And I'm going to use the pandemic just as one example. We've got the kind of go, my body, my choice, my immunity, I don't want the vax, I don't want that, okay? And natural this, natural everything. And then we've got science, I want the vaccine. Gemini is mind science too, all of that kind of stuff. We have to find the and. You know, surely we can mix science and natural things. Personally, my journey through the pandemic has been to go and start looking after my health. I started walking nearly every day. I've, shed some pounds. I feel healthier than I have for a long time. I started eating better because we were eating out less and cooking more. I started, I've got this urge to garden, and as soon as I've finished editing my book, I'm going to start preparing my food garden for next year. And all that I've been reading. So, think of reading. That begins with re too. Anyway, braiding sweetgrass, books about really being in alignment and the cosmos and things like that. I'm a great believer in natural health, but I'm also, I have a Gemini moon. I see science, I see the natural world. We have to find this and, okay? It's not all one thing or another. And it is also associated with how we treat the earth. Whether the virus came from a lab leak or scientists doing things they shouldn't do, or whether it came from the wet markets and humans doing things with wild animals that perhaps they shouldn't do. It doesn't, well, it matters in one way, but in some ways it doesn't matter. It's about how we are and how we work with things. Neither one nor the other. It's got to come together. That's Gemini. And then the North Node in January will move into Taurus, and we'll start to have Mercury retrogrades next year that span earth and air, rethinking how we treat the earth. Okay, rethinking how we treat the earth and how we tread lightly on the earth. So I just want to leave you with a post I created thanks to, and I'll kind of put it in if I can, or you can go to my page, that I believe is the central message of this retrograde, that we have to rethink living with the earth. Reciprocal, restorative, recovering, reclaiming. And I suggest you all go and read or listen to Braiding Sweetgrass, and there's other books too like that, but that's one of them. Read native literature. What else have I put? Indigenous literature. Listen to indigenous wisdom and things. I've long said that the age of Aquarius, air sign, is about taking the best of the old ways, because Saturn is old and is the traditional ruler of Aquarius, and reimagining it for the future Uranus, the modern ruler of Aquarius. And I think this Mercury retrograde, 3 weeks with all these planets changing direction, is a great opportunity to let go of fixed mind, fixed beliefs, and listen to all the things and come together, meet in the middle. So that's my preaching. I hope I haven't, been too technical. I just got excited about all those aspects, and I was going to talk to you about number 7, because 7 in numerology is a lovely number, in my opinion. And really, the 7 is a spiritual energy. Okay, it is. I'm just getting up my favorite site about that, which is Numerology, the numbers and their meanings at blogspot.com. But 7 is the number of spiritual awakening and awareness, spiritual enlightenment, spiritual development, mysticism, intuition, inner knowing, inner wisdom, psychic abilities. It's no wonder I've been pulled towards mystic poetry with all of this. There's so many 7s going on this retrograde, and then it all ends with so many 1s, 1 degree, and 10 degrees, and 11 degrees, and 1s is new beginning. We're being given a chance here to really move forward. Okay, so much love, and please rethink how you live on the earth. Okay, rethink, maybe consider planting a little veggie garden, maybe consider recycling more and being restorative and reclaiming, and maybe shopping at consignment stores or thrift stores, and learning to sew again, and learning to do all these things. And let's just tread more lightly on this earth. Do what you can. If each of us does something, we might have a chance. All right, much love.